Hey guys, I just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and I hope you're having a wonderful day with your friends and family. And remember the reason for the season, which is the birth of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. If you don't understand the Trinity, well, just look into that, or we'll talk about it on a different day. But remember that we have such an amazing God that He sent His only Son to be crucified and die for our sins. There's no other God in anyone else's religious faiths that is that selfless. They have to do and give in order to hopefully do something in their afterlife, whereas that's all false or whatever. But we won't talk about that right now. Just remember how amazing and how many prophecies were fulfilled just from Him being born. We have, of course, Him being born in Bethlehem, which was prophesied in the Old Testament, I think 1,300 years prior to Jesus being born. And then we have Him being born from the line of David, and I don't know the entire list, but there's a bunch just from that. Oh, of course, He had to be born before the temple was destroyed, the second temple. And anyway, we'll get into that later. I just saw this. I'm not sure if it happened yesterday or today. There's some conflicting stories, but y'all remember the Netflix Gay Jesus show that they were running, and they started it in Brazil. I don't think it was running here yet. I guess it was going to be released here. Well, apparently somebody in Brazil threw some Molotov cocktails at this office, and of course it's headline news. What I want to talk about, we never advocate any type of thing like this, but I want y'all to remember this. Remember the cartoonist, the Danish cartoonist that drew a picture of the false prophet Muhammad, and he was attacked multiple times. There were multiple people jailed for threatening his life, but then there was like a shootout where 12 people ended up dying in Paris, where his office was. I mean, it was an insane asylum. Like, people went nuts, and it was just some man drawing cartoons, and he didn't even really say anything that was not in the Quran. It actually was. It was, if you do this, then you'll go to paradise. Well, you'll have these voluptuous virgins waiting for you. So technically he didn't do anything against them, but of course all of the SPLC, the ACLU, all of these silly groups run to their rescue and condemn this man for all of this just for making a cartoon, whereas we're supposed to just sit back and think nothing of it, that these atheists, Satanist people create a entire movie making Jesus homosexual. And they do this all the time. Let me say something that most people don't realize. Do y'all know who the most persecuted group of people in the world is? In the world. You think it's the Muslims? The LGBTQ? Black people? Anybody else? No, it's the Christians. Christians are the most persecuted group across the board. There's no comparison. There's hundreds of Christians that die each month just for their faith, for not converting to a certain religion or not condemning their religion, being caught with a Bible in a certain country. We even have situations here. And the churches that are bombed each month, I mean, we can look at Christ Church, and everybody, I mean, the world stopped turning when that happened, which was terrible. And we condemned them like anybody. But then, what was it, a week or two later? Or, I don't even think it was that long. In Sri Lanka, a church on Easter was bombed, killing 300 people. 300 Christians, which HRC and Obama called Easter worshipers. Y'all remember that? Easter worshipers. Could you imagine if they would have called the Muslims Ramadan eaters? Just imagine. I mean, just think about it in that context. Why are they allowed to do this when we are the most persecuted group? Yes, we know that, in the Bible it states it at least like 14 times that we will be persecuted for our faith. And do I want to be in a special class? No. But if they want to treat people equally, they need to treat us equally. They are allowed to attack us without any repercussions. And they act like we are the bad people when we are the most persecuted group. It's insane. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at what that crazy story with the Molotov cocktails, and then there was a few other stories, but let's check it out. Well, I'm actually shocked that USA Today put this article out. Christians being persecuted around the world at an alarming rate. I'm not going to read all of these because there's so many trigger words for the YouTube algorithm. So you can pause it and read them. But what I wanted to point out was how widespread this truly is, and how all of these other groups of people are acting like they're the only ones persecuted. Me. There's currently genocides going on of Christians in multiple countries just for their faith. Not because there's just crazy wars and there's just innocent bystanders. This Sri Lanka thing, there's 300 people that died, but yet the one in New Zealand that we all know about was like the top story for half the year. I mean, they both were horrible, but there's a double standard, and it's just insane. And we can't just keep allowing this to happen and keep apologizing. Okay, yeah, we did this hundreds and hundreds of years ago and this and that. I mean, it's silly. We've all done terrible things in the past. Okay, let's move on. But we can't pretend that this isn't going on. We need to support all of these people that are being persecuted around the world. But we can see the double standard, like with the little short YouTube video that came out that portrayed Muhammad exactly how he is. I mean, there were riots. Hundreds of people across the world died during these protests and stuff because of a YouTube video. Yeah, the government might have been involved in it, but that's not the point. The point is it still happened. And they called for beheading of people that spoke out, that mocked their false prophet. But yet they feel that it's okay that they can do this, with Jesus. None of this makes sense. And we just keep allowing it. Like, oh, yeah, turn the other cheek, yes, but don't lay down and be I don't know what the word is. At least Boris Johnson spoke out about the Christian persecution going on. The current leader of our country doesn't ever say anything like that. He will speak about other groups, but of course not ours. Anyway, so this is in Brazil, where the Molotov cocktails were thrown at this office of these producers of this movie. And you see, this is an actual movie that went on Netflix. Whereas the other one was a YouTube video, and there were protests across the world trying to hold governments accountable, and Egypt banned YouTube. I mean, do you see the double standards here? I mean, yes, Islam is a oppressive situation, but they think that everybody should bow down to them when that's just silly. We still need to stand up for ourselves and our morals and values, and not just allow them to continue walking all over us. It's silly. It's just disgusting. We once thought that, okay, we'll let them do whatever, let them do whatever, but then it's gone too far. And now we're called, oh, this is hate speech because they're a protected group, when in reality, we're the ones being persecuted the most. The data shows it for the last 3 years. By far. And the other thing is the rhetoric. Whenever that YouTube video came out, everybody was like, it was Islamophobic or anti-Islam, anti-Muslim, whatever. And now with the gay Jesus thing, all they keep saying is, well, it was just a comedy. Just look at those small details. But yet this is what they call for when a cartoonist draws pictures of Muhammad. This is from that. Behead them. So don't be confused about when they say, oh no, we're for freedom of religion and freedom of speech. It's not true. Obviously, I'm generalizing. I'm not saying everyone. This is just part of what they are taught. In the Quran, in the Hadiths, it's just a fact. Alright guys, y'all have a wonderful day. Merry Christmas again. And remember, all of the people, when you say your prayers tonight or whenever you do, remember all of the Christians that are being persecuted around the world, that are staying strong for their faith, because they know we worship the one true God. And there's a reason that the atheists don't go after other religions like they do with Christianity. It's because they know that our God is the one true God. And there's something inside of them that, is it an evil spirit? Maybe. Some of them have daddy issues. They didn't have a loving father. That's there's many studies that prove that. They had absent fathers or whatever the case may be. But we'll go into that on a different day. Anyway, y'all have a wonderful night. If you would like to help support my channel, because they seem to be demonetizing every single video that I'm putting up lately. I don't know why. Please look at the links in the pinned comments. Thanks, guys.